feeling like Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego. They want me to lose my balance like I got vertigo. It's vertical that I go to, but touch the cervical spine. My mind, oh my, better than apple pie. A Mac systems, the word catch rhythm. Spaz out when flutes play, empty space fill 'em with bars that fragment light like glass prisms. If they want the game, here's some fair, go and get 'em. But I promise you the tongue is a sword, might split 'em. Infuse the source in you with the first breath blue. There's fire in my shoes, on top of my head too. It can warm, it can light or burn, it's up to you. The book's red like oxidized iron, the crook's blade. The blade pointed, pencil in hand, the beast fed. The bull stops here, I grip horns and get ahead. Left the carcass in the mountains of the Caucasus. The consequences of dabbling in metropolises. The city's opposites live the life of opulence, while the chosen, the few, is rather obvious when flutes play. When flutes play. Yeah. When flutes play, they say the feet move like Pele. Sharp knife fillet. When the words spit finay. When flutes play, they say the feet move like Pele. Sharp knife fillet. When the words spit finay. You may ask, Jamal, why you speaking such coded metaphor? My reply, so I can let hot air pass like a matador. My math's a cure for the unaccounted for, pure, who lost the jewel but confined to fraudulent source. The smell is hell, but you be amazed what manure can spark life in. When the odds ain't right, then seed still finds miraculous ways to grow at night. Sin is the move of primal ocean. Sit round 80 BPM so I can go in. Fire hit, water smoking. Every word spoken is a token to mend what has been broken. The flute melody floating. Something bubbling in the pot, lethal potion. Sniff, get a whiff, it's a gift. Him most high, most fly, most shy. I am that I am with a clear eye. The word. You are listening to Think Music. Al-Aqdar, the king on this Aladdin. It's a sharp line between superb and mean. It gets fuzzy when the listener's ear ain't that keen. The creme de la is mixed with a lesser cream. Still its lexicon is focused like a laser beam. Pierce the forehead with the sting of a pinky ring. The bliss it bring when the angelic force is seen is like the subtle kiss of butterflies' wings. Knowledge reigns supreme, no time for genuflection. Get off your knees, God, in this cycle resurrection. Dissect these bars, paperclip every section. You gon' find when you rewind, yes, every time, that every word spit shine like a newly minted dime. Make the crowd stand up like a erect spine, or a proud Georgia pine that was winning on the mind. No, fuzzy line, yeah, the word divine. The left hand hold a quill pen dipped in black ink. The 16's a warm up after 48 I breathe. And I warn you, don't sleep, cause I got more under my sleeve. Even the mind of my notes in the 80s could conceive. This young lad's words will one day make the world believe. No please or maybes, probablys could these. The true tales of a priest who rose some thieves. The ease with which he squeezed others and make cheese degrees. Higher than travelers could offer the people's pleas. For a serious MC, been answered the word complete. Convergent bees and virgin seeds, lick pollen seeds, emerging G's, men God increase. The mark is east, to calm the beast. I rise like yeast in chords of E. The organ sings unordinary. The orbs on me, vocabulary exemplary. So pardon me, I'm parting seas apart from these. A part of me, divinity, the artistry is arson. See, it's suggested that you follow me, rather by plane, train, donkey, or feet. This particular genre we call meta rap, aggressively led by the word in Dap Dunlap. Think music, simply put the future's roadmap. Follow the man with a pitcher with water, and that's that. And that's that. And that's that. Yeah. And this is think music. When Dunlap cues it, the word voice infuse it. And this is think music. When Dunlap cues it, the word voice infuse it. This is think music. When Dunlap cues it, the word voice imbues it. Yes, sir. 1, 2. Mic check. Mic check. 1, 2. What about now? Can you hear me? All right. All right. Thank you, Shadowfly. All right, let's try it again. Peace to the world. Good afternoon. Thank y'all for joining in this afternoon for us to have a quick discussion here about this evening's full moon in the sign of Libra. It's going to be at 12 degrees, I think, in 21 minutes. 12 degrees, 21 minutes of Libra. And it will occur at 9:12 p.m. Central Standard Time this evening. Peace to everybody in the chat. See y'all coming in. Thank y'all for joining in. Peace, Chussie. Peace, Shadowfly. I am She. Peace. A Rhythm Mind. Rhythm Minded Dark. Peace. Water Minx. Okay. So, all right. So I titled this video Consequences of War. And I'm not speaking specifically to the conflict in the Middle East. I'm speaking more metaphorically, but at the same time, literal. So yeah, we could be seeing things that are consequences of that conflict with Iran, but also just the consequences of war, period. And so with that, we start with looking at the etymology of the word war. Detroit, peace, Vic. The etymology of the word war. Okay, and I'm dealing with the Indo-European root, and it means, and that root that they give here is UERS. And when you see that UE in these roots, that U, it takes on a W, where, like where's, when you see how it can become wars, where's, wars. All right. So this root where's is given the definition of sweep, stir up confusion, strife,
From this, we get the Latin overruncate, which is, then we have the French guerre, guerre or guerre, that'd be guerre, which is war. This is where the word guerrilla comes from. All ties back to war. You think about the gorilla beating his chest. So there's a symbolic reference there. But I want to look at this and go deeper than just to these words and look at them symbolically. Sweep, stir up confusion, strife. And if you think about in the Kabbalistic tree of life, at the top of the tree, before the tree emerges in its 10 Sephiroth, you have before Kether, which is the supreme, you have the Ayin Sof, and the Ayin Sof And Ayin means I. Sof is wisdom. Is light. But the totality of the Ayin Sof is a storm cloud. So it's chaos. And the Ayin is almost like the eye of the storm. You know, when we hear about the tornadoes, when the eye of the tornado, or is it the eye of the hurricane that they refer to? Yeah, the eye of the hurricane. And this is where the power is most destructive, right? The last thing you want to do is be right in the midst of the eye of a hurricane. Well, war, as it's etymologically being presented here in this book, is describing the energy of the Ayin Sof a sweeping, stirring, stir. As that immediately gives mental image of a storm cloud, whether it's a tornado funnel or just the storm cloud associated with the hurricane. And when things are spun, they tend to lose their individuality. Spinning things blends things, because in that chaos and the speed, things lose their singularity. Well, not singularity, but individuality. And they all and so it gives the ability for new possibilities. All right. So maybe I've belabored on that too long. What I'm trying to get at is that the chaos cloud, the Ayin Sof which is what this word war, as we use it etymologically, is kind of pointing to, also lines up with the fact that the sign that we would associate with war, Aries, is a sign of creation. Because the Ayin Sof is a chaos cloud that still embodies order within it. But before that order can evolve and develop, it first has to come out of this soup of calamitous energy. So then we can say then that war is a tool of creation. Aries, the sign we associated with war, creation. You think about the planet that rules Aries, Mars, also rules Scorpio, and we associate creation literally as in the sexual act from the reproductive organs that is necessary for life here, comes back to Mars. So Mars, as the ruling planet, deals with two signs that lead to or that deal with creation. Aries is the emergence of that which has been created, and Scorpio is the dying death act that leads to creation. And we do know that involved in that can be, when we talk about passion, passion is a form of chaos. So when I title this The Consequences of War, is again, it's not just about war as we connotatively use the word. It's the consequences of what we have created. And Aries is the identity that is created, or the identity that we live with, the mask we wear, the seed, the potential. Well, what's the consequences of it? As in, what was done with the seed? Was it cultivated? What was done with the creation? Because Libra reflects all of those things. Because what we attract is what we are. And I mean, it's hard to get around that. You know, if you tend to attract abusive relationship scenarios, then it has something to do about the nature of the seed itself, Aries. So Libra is the first sign in the zodiac that has us contemplating or introducing into our reality something called karma. Because karma is the consequences of actions taken. It's the natural reverberation of a frequency that went one way and then it sends it back. Relative to what house it falls in your chart, this full moon is the consequences of war, or the consequences of what we have created, or the outcome of what we've created and initiated. Now, Libra deals with the scale symbolically. So in addition to just what we naturally associate with Libra is relationship, we're also looking at finances. We're looking at what reflects back to us just in our day-to-day actions, our environment, our surroundings, what's reflecting back to us. And it's not always about people. Here's an example. I put this sigil out while, I don't know, maybe a year ago. And I've been talking about making these shirts. And it's just other things have been on the other irons in the fire have taken precedent, right? But what's funny is leading up to this full moon, the 13 has been coming and reflecting back at me. I go to the, we have a office now for our circle of life. It's inside of a local colonics business. And I'm leaving today, And the owner of the Kalani's place is just telling me casually, like, yeah, the lady who owns the dress shop, she also she has salon suites that she rents out. And she's been trying to buy the building from the owner. She's been here for like 13 years. There's a 13. I go yesterday to I have a one of those co-sharing places that my 720 astrology basically runs through that, where I have that as the address. So to get it verified with Google, I had to go up, and you have now with Google to verify your address, you got to do all this. You got to take a video outside the place, show the other businesses. You got to walk up, you got to show yourself unlocking the door, and so the spot that they had for me was number 13. Something else happened that it was another 13 came and showed up. I can't remember right now, but that's just a simple example of something you initiated and put out that matches your persona being reflected back at you. I only gave that example to say, think outside the box about this full moon, that is not just your one-on-one relationship with a person, like romantically, or your best friend, or just think about your relationship on an energetic level with the you bouncing back off of you out there in the environment and signaling back to yourself saying your image has been received and something's being reflected back to let you know that what you put out has been seen. Because a relationship is the reflection of whatever you are. So everything in our environment becomes a reflection of who we are. And that's really what I'm trying to get at here. Now, what have you created? What have you been creating? Who are you? What are you? Aries, where the sun is shining its light from onto the moon in Libra. Aries is a fire sign. And the sun is exalted in Aries because Aries is like giving the sun new spark plugs. It's like getting new spark plugs in your engine. And it feels like, oh, I've crossed the vernal equinox. I'm coming back. I'm coming back. I'm on my comeback trail. They counted me out. But Aries is fire. I forgot what somewhere I was gonna go with that. I did too much time on the lead up. Something I was gonna go with on fire, I wanted to say about that. But either way, fire can burn, fire can warm, fire can provide light and comfort. It's all a choice. So part of the consequences is how we have used fire. Right? Now, here's the wild card. And I'll see if I can share this so I can show it. Let's see if I can show it while I'm so y'all can see this. Okay. So that's the chart for the full moon. So we got a couple of things that are contributing or to this energy. One is that we've got Jupiter creating a T square with the sun and the moon. And what Jupiter does is Jupiter can blow things out of proportion. And it's funny that let's see, Vicky just said crazy enough. I was contemplating the difference between fire and steam this morning while driving. I'm Gemini, but have a lot of water in my chart. Okay, so that's where I was about to go with this water. Because let's say a person doesn't have a whole lot of water in their chart. At first glance, it may seem like this person isn't super sensitive. But let's say that person has very little water, but they have Jupiter in a square to their moon, in a square or opposition to their moon. This person is going to appear to be, or not just appear, but will be very sensitive because Jupiter expands whatever it is in contact or aspect with. So whatever emotion is there, Jupiter just. So Jupiter is expanding the flame of the sun in Aries. So this can be just the ego expression taken to another level, right? And then separately look at Jupiter squaring the moon, and we're super sensitive. So that now we take them together, Jupiter in a T square squaring both of those. What we run the risk of is being hyper inflammatory in how we act, uber aggressive, because Jupiter is expanding the flame of the sun in Aries. And if we are not in control and have not learned the maturity that we need to control this fire. See, the desire is never to put fire out. It is to learn how to control it and to use it as is necessary. Then when we add in the fact that Jupiter has been squaring not squaring, in a trine to Mars. Remember I was talking about how all this internal energy has just been, and the difficulty maybe of getting it out, especially with Mercury in Pisces. Like there's so much going on internally still. And this difficulty in trying to figure out how to express it in a healthy manner, right? And then when you add in the fact that Saturn is still in range of opposition to the moon. And so while the sun is exalted in Aries, and Aries gives the sun this strong sense of identity, you still have Saturn, which the sun has traversed just a few days ago, where they were conjunct, where Saturn, which I know all too well about Saturn aspects to the sun, because Saturn opposes my sun. And it's definitely a feeling of delayed gratification and a feeling of time running out, right? And ultimately, with Saturn, what it can do is create feelings of self-doubt. And when Saturn's an aspect to the moon, and ironically enough, even in a harmonious aspect, Saturn can tend to internally to raise feelings of self-doubt. Or, so what may be the risk here is that the ego expression may be fighting so hard to feel like it is of value that and picking up the square from Jupiter, that we may overdo it because we're trying to overcome the feeling of lack that Saturn might be imposing in its still opposition to the moon. And the fact that the sun is still, by astrological rule, still conjunct Saturn. So we run the risk of overcompensating. And the biggest test for Saturn in Aries is maturity. When that generation came in that we call Generation X, you know what they were born with? Saturn in Aries. And so this generation, and what I'm talking about is 1966, 1967. You can go to the ephemeris. We go to the ephemeris right now. We go to 66, and we see that Saturn moved in to I'm wrong. No, 67. 67 is when Saturn moved into March of 67. Saturn makes his first ingress into Aries. And so we're given that title of Generation X starting in 1966. But, so right in that same wheelhouse, that title given to that generation, which was already anticipated to be so rebellious, right? They had Pluto and Uranus, that conjunction in Virgo. So I mean, there's this hyper rebellious, like not wanting to go along with the status quo in everyday life, Virgo, right? And also having Saturn in Aries, right? So we don't know what this generation is going to be. Just call them X. Right? So this generation was already encoded with a rebellious spirit. I know about this all too well because I have people in the families that from this generation, and I have from the previous generation of Saturn and Aries, because my father was born in 1937. Also had so Saturn moves about a 30-year clip. So he had Saturn in Aries. And so then you come to look at things that might have been set up to capture the energy of certain generations to control and to direct that rebellious spirit, many times negatively. And so our generation, this Generation X, was never destined to grow up. That's why I'm harping on this. And many of them at the beginning of this generation are now coming up on 60 as Saturn comes back around in Aries, coming up on their Saturn return, asking them, have you ever grown up? Have you ever matured? Collectively, all of us are living through this energy right now of trying to figure out what it means to maintain your freedom and sense of identity, but also understand that you have to have a measure of responsibility. You have to be able to respond to the fact that you are living in a three-dimensional paradigm and there are certain rules that govern it while you're here. And that if you just dismiss that, there are consequences. See, the thing that's going on here is you got Aries and Libra. And like I said, Aries and Libra create the first opposition in the zodiac. But the oppositional aspect is of the nature of Saturn, because an opposition creates tension. And here we have at this moment Saturn involved in the aspect that it rules over. So we're dealing with the consequences of our actions, the consequences of who we've chosen to be, the consequences of our own creation or what we have created. And we're looking at and assessing our ability to respond to life in this reality. You know, I was thinking the other day when we were coming up, like the like this the way I dress. I never like my uncles, they were always in slacks. You know, like you catch them on like a going to the flea market or something, like that's their dress down, have some jeans on. My old man always in some slacks, you know, my uncle's slacks. And I'm just looking at just the way we dress, you know, like I'm always dressed in workout clothes. Just something as simple as that, just how the difference in, and I know that might be kind of superficial, but the just from a generational thing, I just sit and ponder those things. Like, you know, they rarely wore shorts. They said those were called little boy pants. Um, so how much of our fashion has been dictated by somebody who probably, or institutions who probably were well versed in astrological language, and what were their attempts to retard the maturation process, especially in this generation that they call X, that I'm a part of. But either way, we are here now in 2026. And this full moon will continue pressing the button of endurance. Endurance, even though things may seem doubtful, and that trying to overcome them with the expression of your ego and the convincing the world that it really does not work, and that this T square releasing into Capricorn has everything to do with our ability to grow up, because Capricorn's ruled by Saturn, which was wrapped right up into this T square with Saturn, the sun, the moon, wide orb between Saturn and Jupiter, but we're going to call all of them part of this T square. And part of maturing is sitting with the consequences of your actions. What else did I want to talk about this? I hadn't looked at this to just now, and I open it up. Let's see if we see any other. Oh, here's something else I want to talk about. Oh, say Dior is known for. I didn't know that. That's very interesting. Very interesting. Very. Okay. If my memory serves me correct, oh no. Okay, I'll come back to that. I thought it was the 3rd. Okay, that's good. I thought Uranus hit that 29 of Taurus on the 3rd. It hits on the 6th. So that's Monday. That's just a few days away. But I thought it was right here behind this full moon. But I do think, which y'all come back and look at that to see what aspects are around that. I want to say this. Like I was talking to my mother earlier, and she's telling me about how on Facebook they're talking about there may be a blackout and some other and I was telling her it's possible, Uranus is going to hit this 29th degree of Taurus. Oh, there was something about money. They were saying like, get your money out. But I mean, people have been saying that for a long time. Get your money out the banks, get your money out. This is what I was telling her. I said, you have to take some of these things with a grain of salt. If it doesn't translate into, okay, I got $800, I'm going to go and buy a generator. And then where am I going to store it? And then where am I going to store the gas? See what I'm saying? Do I have a certain amount of, just a small amount of food just to get me through, or just a little bit of extra water? The thing is, what's dangerous about a lot of these things is that we live our lives in fight or flight mode. And I had a funny feeling about, like, I used to watch a lot of his videos. The guy, what's his name? Stefan, whatever, that does the geo, whatever. I started looking at his videos, his thumbnails. I was like, you know what? Sometimes I feel like everybody kind of gives in to the whole sensationalism thing. This could be the one that, I mean, it's like, look, my dad told me something when I was a young man. He said, people have been trying to predict the end of the world forever. He said, and none of them were right. And I say that not to be dismissive, but I say it to say that you have to keep things in perspective. And after a while, you have to start wondering how much energy goes into keeping people on edge. And it's a thin line I'm trying to walk right here, because you got to be careful. Stay with me. You got to be careful about putting out broke energy. Right? So, like, somebody posted about my prices are too high, which I'm like, if I see somebody's stuff that I can't afford, guess what? I just keep on moving. But to type up a whole comment about, and good luck if anybody else, see, I felt some type of way, but but more importantly, you curse yourself when you take the effort to put out a message that goes to the ionosphere and bounce back that I ain't got it. You got to be careful, because then you curse yourself by saying, I'm broke. So you got that end of the spectrum that we got to be careful with. But then you got the other end of the spectrum that is, if you ain't got but $35 in the bank, what the fuck you worried about? You can't get you understand? Half of the people that be sharing this stuff is like, if you got a couple nickels, motherfucker just be experimenting taking your money. Okay? So what I'm trying to say is, you got to keep things in perspective. Keep things in perspective. You don't ever want to go out here claiming that I'm lesser than, I ain't got, and da. But at the same time, you're aware that, I ain't got $100,000 sitting in my checking. So, but if I got a couple of dollars, I'm going to be mindful, right? But you just have to stay, because fight or flight syndrome has probably taken out many more people than we could ever imagine. And from a health perspective, this full moon shines the light on the kidneys and the regulatory functions in the body. So this is stress here and stress down here. So this is stroke kidney type of energy right here. Salt, potassium, your body regulating fluids. Then you have the blood with Jupiter, arterial function squaring. So the last thing we need is to add any unnecessary extra stresses. And we always got to remember this. People have survived everything. At a certain point, information sometimes is crippling. You can have so much information that you're hamstrung and you can't do nothing. Take this, don't take that. Eat this, don't eat that. Go vegan. Breathe. You don't need food. Don't drink water. Eat watermelon. It's overwhelming. It can be if you listen to all of it. So I want to add that in too about this, because when Uranus hits the 29th degree of Taurus, we may see some things. But if you ain't got, if you're not in certain positions right now, look, at the end of the day, we may endure some discomfort. And sometimes in this world of comfort, like we got to be honest, we got a lot of comforts. And I don't want to give them up. I drink spring water. I got a glass air fryer because I don't want to use the one with all the other chemicals. And we live, compared to where I grew up, we live like we're like we a luxurious lifestyle, to be honest. Although it's simple, I don't want to give up the little bit of comforts I got, but it won't kill me. And I think that's the thing we got to keep in mind with everything about all this. This is going to happen. That is because it becomes fear porn, you know. And if it ain't really shit you can do about it, what the fuck is the one sitting around sweating beads over it, you know? So I want to add that in too, just about this energy. And I want to go back to something too about, because this full moon lands in my 10th house. So if you're trying to figure out, always think of the house as the setting that will influence the natural action of the planet. Planets act first wherever they're at, and the house is the setting that shifts their actions, or what's the word? Mitigates, if you will, their action. Okay. So for me, 10th house, career, public identity, whatever. I want to say this about my services. When you book a reading with me, if you book a 2-hour reading, you may think, oh, he's greedy. He's charging, I don't even know what's a 2-hour, like a year forecast reading. I don't know. It might be $300 something. He being greedy. $375 if you get it in a live reading. $275 is just if it's recorded, right? Now just think about this. I don't hop on and do the reading cold, right? I prepare. So we might sit on there for 2.5 hours, but I'm going to spend at least 2.5 hours looking over your chart. Let's just say for a year forecast reading. You know how much is involved in that? How much work goes into that? Okay. Every Mercury retrograde, I highlight, but not just that. What degree is Mercury going to turn retrograde at? What is it going to go back to? What is that aspecting in your chart? What are the major retrogrades of the outer planets? So that's Uranus, Neptune, Pluto. How is that going to aspect your chart? What are the major ingresses coming up? Like Uranus moving into Gemini. Well, what house is that going to be in for you? What aspects will it form? All these little subtle things. And then what's the theme of the year for you? Most of the time, these readings go on for 3 hours, maybe more. When it gets to 2.5 hours is what you pay for. I don't say, uh-oh, sorry, player, you hit your time. And y'all know, some of y'all who had readings from me, you know how it goes. I don't sweat people about that. When you book a reading, you're not having to chase me down. You're not DMing me for no reading. You go to the site, you book, you immediately get confirmation of your booking. You immediately get a Zoom invite. You know exactly that your money has been acknowledged. Your investment has been acknowledged, and you are on the schedule. These things cost for me to be able to have those things in place. And a reading is an investment in you. A reading can help you make money. A reading can help you find peace. A reading can help you understand why certain experiences have been playing out over and over, and then like how I can take my power and change this or evolve. So I know, okay, I've taken this conversation somewhere else, but I need to. I ignore a lot of stuff, but I need to start getting things out. You know, I am in business. I do excellent business, right? My stuff's professional. And if you want to deal with a professional, then this is how it works. And but a lot of times we want professional results, but we want to, so prioritize. And another thing is that I don't get on here and beg for super chats. I don't beg for Cash App. I'm very generous with whatever information I got. You know, I give information to strangers. I give information to friends, family for free. So I've earned the right to be compensated for my gifts. And this is a craft. It is a study. I spent thousands of dollars on literature and training. I continue to, I don't have enough room to hold the books I got. It's a continued investment and a learning so that when you come to me, I got something for you, substantial. So I want to make sure that I say that before we conclude the broadcast, so we be completely clear. But on that, so the thing to hey buddy, hold on, I'm about done. So the thing is to be clear is that to be clear, this full moon is showing us to us. And we know all full moons are reflective, but this one is especially reflective because it's involving Aries, and it is showing us who we are and reflecting the work that we have done on ourselves, the maturity that we've gone through, the growth we've gone through, and whatever new growth still remains. And whatever we see, we are challenged to be responsible for what shows up and to not try to duck and hide and point fingers in other direction, So on that note, we'll wrap it up. Thank you. Mercurial Flow said, speaking facts, booked a lesson and reading was a good invest. Thank you. Thank you. All right, y'all. So on that note, as always, stay down till you get up. When you get up, stay down. Know the stars to know yourself. And we'll wrap it up with a little something here. Let me let's see what we got. We'll catch y'all on the top side.
Under the utmost compression, subtle forces gather, linear time testing. Dormer for the elect, for others karma pressing. The law is impeccable, above it some professing. Foolish the mortal's lessons still seem as necessary. In what is he investing? Some in the status of an outdated atlas. Feet slip trying to scale a slope up an aspen. Aspiration for the asthmatic Adam Cadman. Arm, leg, arm, head, who's the captain? The ship or the vessel, the head where the feet trail. When the last breath is took, the way up is entrails. Heart versus feather, forever versus never. The Ein soft mind coughs your hard stormy weather. Peace be still, every word as a shield. The arrow point sharp so every syllable you feel. Visible to the visionaries, heard in every monastery. Flow like a tributary, the tried and true, the gnosis knows the commentary. Concomitant to the Candlemas in February. The hero bows his back, although the road ahead is scary. The journey lingers, the wounds deeper. Transition from light bearer to light bringer. For everything under the sun, there's a season. For every cause, there is effect and a reason. Fine resin left behind from halal bleeding. Fresh manna, pure water, air and lungs breathing. Flesh tanner, sure order, stare at the heathen. No banner, quiet manner, this trip I'm leaving. Ascension, attention, cycle of the gleaning. No psilocybin, these sober bars you're reading. No simple babble, I beg your pardon, I'm cleaving. To the rock the temple was built upon an evening. Before the day broke and the word spoke, a thought approach. Ancient fire hidden in inner worlds and the opal brooch. And plain as tire wisdom enfolds like a gospel note. The arc of Sothis carry souls onward to a new abode. The darker night is where it shows the truth is that the gnosis knows. The darker night is where it shows the truth is that the gnosis knows. Knows. I know.